Hi, boys and girls. It's Miss Kelly, and today is our first day of reading class. So what we're going to be doing today is going over some of our routines that we're going to have in reading class, and we're going to see a little Google slide show, and we're also going to watch a video, and we're going to do some activities together. So I hope you enjoy. Okay, our goals for today, we're going to be discussing the skills that are needed and that we're going to expect from you during our Reader's Workshop time. We're also going to be listening and responding to a story. We're going to talk about some reasons to select a book to read. We're going to be reading some words with long vowel sounds. And we're going to practice actively listening and participating in a group discussion about reasons to choose a book. Also, we're going to write independently about the reason that you chose to read the book that you selected. So what is Reader's Workshop? Some of you may have heard this term before. If you are not familiar with Reader's Workshop, during this time, we're going to read a little, we're going to think a little, we're going to talk a little, and we're going to write a little. So it's a combination of reading, thinking, talking, and writing. And you can see in these photos here, all of these boys and girls are doing things that may be a part of your Reader's Workshop. So when we talk about Reader's Workshop, we are going to practice reading. We're going to be writing about reading, talking about reading. We're going to be working independently or on our own. We're going to be working with a partner. We're going to be working in small groups. We're going to be working with the teacher. So in order to do those things, there are skills or things that we need to be able to do. So let's take a look at what some of those skills are. We need to be able to follow directions, and I think you probably know what that means, because there may be times where your teacher gives directions and you need to switch activities, or you need to take something out or begin something new, and you need to be able to follow those directions quickly. You need to be able to listen actively, and we'll talk a little bit later more about what that means. You need to be able to talk about your reading. You need to be able to write about your reading. You need to be responsible for your learning, be responsible for others, and be responsible for the classroom materials. And that is very similar to our Rush School rules, right? We have 3 Rush School rules. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of Rush School. And that's a lot like what some of the needed skills are for our Reader's Workshop. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be listening to a read aloud of a story, and you're going to watch the video. And while you're watching the video, now if you were in class, what we would do is we would watch the video together and then we would talk about it. Now today you're at home, so we're not able to have that discussion in person, but you could be thinking in your head about what you would say if you were asked the question, why do you think your teacher selected this book to share with you today? Okay, so as you're listening to the story, think about, why would your teacher want to share this book with you? So I'm going to start the video.
Welcome to Brightly Storytime. I'm Miss Linda. At readbrightly.com, you can sign up to get reading tips, book recommendations, and videos like these delivered to your email inbox. Today, we're going to read a story about that feeling you get when you're trying something new or meeting someone for the very first time. It's called The Day You Begin by Jacqueline Woodson, illustrated by Rafael Lopez. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you. Maybe it will be your skin, your clothes, or the curl of your hair. There will be times when no one understands the way words curl from your mouth, the beautiful language of the country you left behind. My name is Rigoberto. We just moved here from Venezuela. And because they don't understand, the classroom will fill with laughter till the teacher quiets everyone. Rigoberto, from Venezuela, your teacher says so soft and beautifully that your name and homeland sound like flowers blooming, the first bright notes of a song. There will be times when the words don't come. Your own voice, once huge, now smaller, when the teacher asks, "What did you do last summer?" Tell the class your story. "We went to France," Jayla says. "These shells came from a beach in Maine." A boy named Jonathan holds out a jar filled with tiny shells so fragile they look like they'll turn to dust in your own untraveled hands. My whole family went to India, Spain, South Carolina. Each souvenir a small triumph of a journey, their travels going on and on. And as you stand in front of that room, you can only remember how the heat waved as it lifted off the curb, and your day spent at home, caring for your little sister, who made you laugh out loud and hugged you hard at nap time. You can only remember the books you kept on reading long after she had fallen to sleep. And in that room, where no one else is quite like you, you'll look down at your own empty hands and wonder, what good is this, when other students were flying and sailing and going somewhere? There will be times when the lunch your mother packed for you is too strange or too unfamiliar for others to love as you do. When even your own friend Nadia will wrinkle her nose and say, "What's in there anyway?" And you'll wonder how she doesn't see the rice beneath the meat and kimchi. You'll wonder why she doesn't remember that rice is the most popular food in the world. There will be times when the climbing bars are too high, the run is too fast and far, the game isn't one you can ever really play. I don't want him on our team. You can watch. Maybe you can have a turn later. There will be times when the world feels like a place that you're standing all the way outside of. And all that stands beside you is your own brave self, steady as steel and ready, even though you don't yet know what you're ready for. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you, until the day you begin to share your stories. My name is Angelina, and I spent my whole summer with my little sister, you tell the class, your voice stronger than it was a minute ago, reading books and telling stories. And even though we were right on our block, it was like we got to go everywhere. Your name is like my sister's, Rigoberto says. Her name is Angelina, too. And all at once, in the room where no one else is quite like you, the world opens itself up a little wider to make some space for you. This is the day you begin to find the places inside your laughter and your lunches, your books, your travel, and your stories. Where every new friend has something a little like you, and something else so fabulously not quite like you at all. Have you ever felt like the boys and girls in this story? It can be a little scary to go somewhere that nobody knows you yet. It takes courage. But if you're brave enough to reach out and share your story, I think you'll find that others will meet you halfway. Come back to read more stories together anytime you'd like, or find more books to read yourself at readbrightly.com. Bye!
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that story. So now we're going to talk a little bit about why do you think that your teacher would choose that particular story to share with you? So why do you think we would want to read that story maybe at the beginning of the school year, on the first day of school, on the first day of reading class? So go to the Google form, number 1. It says book discussion questions. So you can stop or pause the video right here and go to the Google form, and you're going to fill that out now. Okay, so just stop or pause the video here. Go to the Google form number 1, book discussion questions. And when you're finished, you can come back to the video and I'll be here waiting. Welcome back. Okay, now, why do you think that your teacher would choose this book to read in the beginning of the school year? So, like I said, if we were in class, we would discuss this as a class. We would talk about it and listen to what our classmates have to say. But what might be some reasons that your teacher would want to choose this book to share with you? So it could be because maybe to show that we're all unique and different. Everybody has a different story to tell. It could be to show that we're all special. And even though we might not come from the same place, we might not eat the same foods, we might not look the same, we all have things in common with each other. And the way that we can find that out is by talking to one another. And maybe you just never know who you're going to have something in common with. Now we're going to talk about reasons that you might choose a book. So what are some reasons why, when you're picking a book, right, there's so many wonderful books to choose from, why might you choose a certain book? Okay, so one reason might be because the topic interests you, right? Maybe you're really interested in, say, the Titanic. So you might want to read this book on board the Titanic, right? The topic might be of interest to you. It might be a book by your favorite author or your favorite illustrator. If you know that you've read a book before by that author or illustrator, that you might say, well, I know I liked that author's books before, so I'm going to get that. I know that author, I'm going to get that book. I do that a lot. I will read books by the same author because if I like their writing style, I figure that I will like all of their books. Maybe a teacher, a family member, a friend might recommend a book to you. So my friends and I do this. If one of us reads a book and we think somebody else might enjoy it, we'll pass the book along. Maybe a friend may tell you that they read a book that they really enjoyed and suggest that you read it. Your teacher may know that you have certain interests or that you like a certain book series, and they may recommend other books to you. Speaking of book series, those are great because there's more than one of them. So they sort of tell a story that continues, or they have the same characters, or they follow the similar plot. So if there's a series that you really like, for example, Magic Treehouse books, right? That is a series. There's many of them, and they include similar characters and similar plot. So if you find a book series that you really like, you may want to read those books. You may really love a certain genre. Genre is a type of book. So it might be mysteries or graphic novels or adventure stories. I love mysteries. So most of the books that I read are mystery books. I know people that really only read nonfiction. They like to read books about biographies about real people, or books about historical events that really happened that are filled with facts. But you may find that you sort of go towards a certain genre, a type of book, and that's okay too. Now, the second part of our reading lesson is going to be what we're going to call word study. And in the word study portion of our lesson, we're going to be talking about something to do with either grammar or words themselves. You may have called this phonics in a younger grade if you remember foundations. This will be sort of like foundations. So the first thing we're going to talk about in word study is long vowels. And if you think back to maybe first or second grade when you learned your vowels, A, E, I, O, and U, you learned that vowels make a short sound and they make a long sound. And long vowels say their own name. So A says A, E says E, I says I, O says O, and U says oo or you. So as you can see on this poster here, there are some words that have those long vowel sounds in them. So we can hear the long vowel sound A in apron, ape, game, baby. We can hear the long E sound in eel, eagle, bee, leaf. We can hear the long I sound in ice cream, iron, bike, fire. The long O sound in overalls, oval, robe, rose. And the long U sound in unicorn, uniform, ruler, and tube. Now we're going to do a little word sort here, okay? So sort means to put things into groups or categories. Maybe when you were little and you would put all the red blocks together and all the blue blocks together, or sorting shapes, all the circles together, all the squares together. So we're going to sort these words by their long vowel sounds. So across the top, we have the long vowel sound, long A, long E, long I, long O, and long U. And over here, we have some words that you may be familiar with. And we're going to decide what column each word would go in. For example, the first one is read. What long vowel sound do you hear in the word read? Read. Oops. So for this one, we're going to move the word. Read has the long E sound. So we're going to move that into the long E column. The next word is light. Light. What long vowel sound do you hear in the word light? Long I. So we're going to move that into the long I column. Next we have train. Train. What long vowel sound do you hear in the word train? Long A. The next word is huge. Now, notice this is one of those words that has the E on the end, right? You might have learned that way back in first or second grade. The E on the end makes the vowel say its own name. So huge would be a long U sound. And the last word is boat. Boat. What long vowel sound do you hear in boat? Long O. So there are our words sorted into the correct columns of the long vowel sounds that we hear in them. So we have one word for each long vowel sound. Now what you're going to do is you're going to do your own word sort. So you're going to, below the video or below the assignment, you're going to go to number 2, assignment number 2. It's a Google Doc, and it's called Student Practice Word Study Sort. So you're going to go to number 2, Google Doc, Student Practice Word Study Sort. So you're going to pause the video, open up that Google Doc, do the word sort with long vowel words, and then you can come back and restart the video, and I will be here waiting for you. Welcome back. Now we're going to talk about choosing a book to read during independent reading time. And remember, independent means on your own. So when you choose a book, you need to make sure that the book is what we're calling a good fit book. Now, by good fit, and you see there's pictures of shoes there, so I'm going to use a little example or an analogy, a comparison to shoes. So think about all the different kinds of shoes there are, right? Each kind of shoe sort of has a different look to it. Some shoes have a specific purpose. So I have some shoes of mine here that I'm going to share with you. And I want you to, in the back of your mind, be thinking, which of these shoes do you think would be best for me, for Miss Kelly, to wear to school, to work at Rush School every day, to teach? Okay. So first I have a hiking boot. So my hiking boot, there it is. Do you think a hiking boot would be a good shoe to wear to work at Rush School? I would say that these are really comfortable, but these shoes have a specific purpose. They're for when I go on hikes with my dogs out in the woods or places where I know there's going to be rocks and I want to protect my feet. So even though these shoes are really, really comfortable, I don't really think they would be good for going to work at Rush School. They also kind of look they're kind of a little dirty from my hiking, so I wouldn't really want to wear these to school. So these would not be a good fit for me to wear to work at school. Okay, the next shoe I have, this is a high heel. It's kind of a fancy shoe. It has a bow on the front. It's kind of a gold color. It's a really pretty shoe. I love this shoe, and this shoe is probably my favorite pair of shoes that I have, but I don't think this would be the right fit for me to wear to work, because even though I love this shoe, I love the way it looks, it's beautiful, I really don't think it would be comfortable to teach in all day. It's very fancy, right? It might also not be safe because my toes would be sticking out the front. I might bump them as I'm walking around the classroom. This heel is kind of high, and that might sort of hurt my feet after a while of being on them for 6 or 7 hours teaching. So this shoe, even though it's beautiful, would probably also not be a good fit for me to wear to teach in at Rush School. Okay, the next shoe, which is probably my favorite shoe, is a slipper. So here's my slipper. And my slipper is really comfortable. It has this fuzzy sort of lining on it. It's nice and warm and cozy. It's very, very soft on my feet. And I love my slippers. But it's probably not the right fit for school because it's a slipper and it's meant for wearing in the house. It's meant for wearing, at night before bedtime. It's probably not very professional looking. So it probably wouldn't look right for me to wear to school with my work clothes, right? It's a little too casual, as we would say. So my slipper, even though it is super comfortable and warm and cozy and I love it, not a good fit to wear to work at Rush School. Okay, my last shoe is what we call a loafer. Okay, it's a loafer. It's black. It has kind of a rubber bottom or sole on it. It's sort of a softy kind of leather material. And it looks nice. It's also comfortable. It doesn't look like there's anything in there that I could get hurt with or would be uncomfortable standing on for a long day at work. It would look nice with work clothes. So this loafer is probably my best fit as a shoe to wear to Rush School to work. The other shoes, even though they all had their good qualities and I love them all, they're not all the right fit for me to wear to work each day. So this loafer is, because it's comfortable, it looks nice, there's nothing about it that is not appropriate for school. So I think this shoe would be the right fit for me to wear to work at Rush School. So just like we have shoes that fit us, that are right for certain occasions and might fit for different situations, you need to find a book that is a good fit for you. So not every book is going to be the right book for you. It might be the right book for somebody else, but it might not be the right book for you. So when you are choosing a book, you need to sort of think about, is this book a good fit for me? And some of the questions that you can ask yourself when you are choosing the book, and if you look going down, it says I-P-I-C-K, I pick. So I choose my book. Some questions that I might want to ask myself are the purpose. Why do I want to read it? Am I reading it for fun, for pleasure? Am I reading it because I have to do a book report or to do a project with? I is for interest. Does it interest me? Does this book interest me? Is it something that I'm interested in or that I like to learn about or read about? If it does not interest you, it's probably not the right fit for you. It might be for somebody else, but maybe not for you, and that's okay. C stands for comprehend. Do I understand what I am reading? So sometimes we might pick a book that looks really interesting, right? Maybe I want to read it because I like the cover. But then when you open the book up and you start reading it, you think, oh, I don't really understand what this is saying. Maybe some of the words are a little bit too tricky for me. That might not be a good fit book. So if I can't understand what I'm reading, then that's probably not the right book for me. Maybe someday, but maybe not right now. Maybe that's not the right book for me right now. And the last letter is K, which stands for know. I know most of the words. So do I know or recognize most of the words on the page? Now, one trick you can use, and you may have learned this before, is to sort of count on your hand how many words. Read one page of the book, and every time you don't know a word, put up a finger. So if you put up all the fingers on your hand in one page, that's probably not a good fit book. It might be a little bit too difficult for you right now. Maybe someday you'll be able to read it and understand all the words or know all the words, but right now it is not a good fit. And reading is not fun if you don't understand what you're reading and know all of the words. It won't make sense. It won't be fun to read. So that's just a little trick you can use, is that 5-finger rule. Read one page of the book, put up your fingers. If you get to 5 words that you do not know, that's probably not the book for you. So when you are choosing a book for independent reading, think about I pick. Your purpose, why do you want to read it? Now, for independent reading, your purpose is you're reading for pleasure. You're reading for fun. That's your time to read a book of your choice. Does it interest me? Is this book interesting? Can I understand what I'm reading? And do I know most of the words? So remember, I pick, and we will review this again. Now, when we have independent reading time in the classroom, you're going to choose a spot where you won't get distracted. So you might not want to sit next to your best friend that you might want to talk to. You're going to get started right away. Your teacher will tell you that they're going to set a timer, and that's time for you to read. It's all you're doing during that time is reading. Keep your eyes on the page. So you're looking at your book. You're not looking at your friend's book. You're not looking out the window, right? You are looking at your book. You are reading your book. So you're going to stay in one spot. You're not going to get up and move around the room. Now, with our seating now, you may have to stay at your desk. Eventually, we will be able to sit around the room and find a nice, comfortable spot to sit in. But you're going to have to stay in that spot. You're not playing musical chairs, as we say. You're not hopping around the room to different spots. You're going to read the whole time. So that entire independent reading time is for independent reading. That's all you're doing during that time. You're going to read silently. You're going to read to yourself in your head silently. You're not reading it out loud to your neighbor. You're not reading with a funny voice. You're reading it silently because others are trying to read too. And most importantly, you're going to think about the book. So as you're reading, your brain is going to be thinking, you're going to be imagining what the characters look like, what their voices sound like, maybe what a certain place looks like. You're going to think about the book. You're going to think about the story. So now it is your turn to choose a book and read for 15 minutes. So find a book that you're interested in if you have one at home, and you're going to read that book for 15 minutes. Now, there is a timer here. I'm not going to play the timer here, but if you want to look up 15-minute timer, this was just a timer from YouTube. You can set that timer and you're going to read the whole time, or you're going to, maybe if you have a phone or some kind of device where you can set a timer, set your timer for 15 minutes and just sit and read for that whole 15 minutes. Now, over here is what you see. It's called a book log, where you would log or record or write down the book title and the author. So if you are using a book log, you would write the title and the author, and that helps you to kind of keep track of what you've already read so that you don't read the same book, until you're finished it. Or you might want to go back and look, what did I read before? I remember I really liked that book. I want to read that again, or I want to read a book by the same author. So you can stop or pause the video here, and you can go read for 15 minutes. You can use the timer. This is one, like I said, from YouTube. You can use a timer on your phone or on your tablet, or you might have one of those timers that you turn, an egg timer. But do that for 15 minutes. And then at the end of 15 minutes, come back and you can restart the video, and I will be here when you are ready. Okay, now we're going to talk about writing about reading. So when we read and we're thinking about our reading and we're thinking about the story and we're thinking about the characters and the places in the book, we're also going to be doing some writing about what we read. And as you see here in the picture, this teacher is leading a lesson in writing about reading. So sometimes in Reader's Workshop, the teacher might ask you to respond to what you read through writing. So first I'm going to show you a response to The Day You Begin, which is the book that we watched earlier in the video. Then I'll have you respond to the book that you read during independent reading time. So your teacher might ask you to write about, what book did you read today? Why did you choose to read that book? Share one interesting part that you read. So if I am responding to the question in writing, and I'm writing a response, I might write something like this. Today I read The Day You Begin by Jacqueline Woodson. I chose this book because I knew from the cover that the book would be about a student going to school. That topic is interesting to me because it is the start of a new school year for us too. I also recognized Jacqueline Woodson's name because my teacher read Each Kindness, another book by her, to my class last year. My favorite moment in the book was when Rigoberto said, "Your name is like my sister's." And Angelina realized that she had something in common with her new classmates. So that is a very complete answer, written answer to the question, what book did you read today? Why did you choose to read that book? And share one interesting part that you read. I answered all of those parts of the question. Now, when you are writing, when you're doing independent writing, remember independent means on your own, you're going to be sure to answer the prompt or the question completely. Answer all parts of the question. Use complete sentences. Capitalize and punctuate your sentences correctly. So double check that you have a capital letter at the beginning, that you capitalize names, that you capitalize proper nouns, that you capitalize the word I, and that you put punctuation at the end of your sentence, quotation marks around dialogue. Also include examples or evidence from the text you read. So don't just say, I picked this book because I like it, or my favorite part was the end. Be specific. Give specific examples or evidence from the text to support your answer. And we're going to be working a lot on that this year in 5th grade. Here you see some boys and girls who have their independent reading books with them, and they also have their reader's response journal that they are doing their independent writing in. This is what it might look like at school. This is what it might look like at home. You might be sitting there with your tablet or your Chromebook or your computer, and you're typing your response. You're typing your writing. Okay, now it is your turn. So Sometimes in Reader's Workshop, the teacher might ask you to respond to what you read through writing. Try your best to respond to the prompt below in writing. So here's the prompt that you're going to write about today. Think back to when you were doing your independent reading, the book that you chose. What book did you read today? Why did you choose to read that book? Share one interesting part that you read. And here are some what we call stems, sentence stems or starters that might help you in your writing. Today I read, and your title would go here where it says title, by, where it says author, you would write the author's name. I chose this book because, and then give a reason why you chose it. One interesting part of the book was, again, give a specific example or evidence from the text. Don't just say the end. Why was that an interesting part of the book? Use characters' names, use details from the story. I really enjoyed reading about. What did you really enjoy reading about today? Okay, now you're going to stop or pause the video again. You're going to go to Google Doc number 3. It is called Independent Writing. So pause or stop the video. Look under the assignment for Google Doc number 3. It is called Independent Writing. And you're going to answer those questions about the book that you read. And I will be here when you get back. Okay, welcome back, boys and girls. So that is the end of our reading lesson today, going over the routines that we're going to have during reading time. So you can go back to the beginning. You can watch this again if you would like. Make sure that you do those 3 assignments that are linked underneath that are, about what we talked about in the video. And I will see you next time. Bye.